How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Kufay, Daf 105 of Masechta Yevamos. Friends, Daf Kufay. Well, we continue, we'll pick up where we left off yesterday, as we do every day for the past 2.5 years, talking about spitting. And other things related to chalitza. Friends, let's jump in. Daf Kuf Daled Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. So yesterday at the end of the daf, we had mentioned that they sent to the father of Shmuel that Yevamos Shirokiko Tachlots, that Michlad Ifsla Lamiyachim. Okay, so we said that once the Yevamos spits in front of Bezdin, so then she's basically committed to doing chalitza. She can't do yibum anymore. So now we were trying to figure out, she can't do yibum with the brothers anymore. So we're trying to figure out whose opinion that is. We said, well, it can't be Rabbi Akiva's opinion, because Rabbi Akiva says that spitting doesn't matter, right? If you read the verses from the Torah, as we're going to learn tomorrow, and if she does, she removes the shoe, but she doesn't spit, Rabbi Akiva says it's fine, no big deal. So therefore, Memele, if it's no big deal, so then if she only spits, it's also not going to be a big deal, and it's not going to make her apostle to the brothers. But now we question that. Does Rabbi Akiva really hold that if the Yevama spits on the floor in front of Bezdin, so then does Rabbi Akiva say that it's no problem at all? Right? Does Rabbi Akiva say that spitting doesn't make you apostle to the brothers? We learn in a brayso chalza v'lo rakika, that if she removes the shoe but she doesn't spit, v'lo kara, and she doesn't read the verses from the Torah, chalitza ksheira, the chalitza is a kosher chalitza. Rakika, if she only spat, v'lo chalza v'lo kara, but she didn't do chalitza, she didn't read the verses from the Torah, chalitza psula. So the chalitza is possible. Let's go weiter for a second. Kara v'lo rakika, if she read the verses from the Torah, but she didn't spit, v'lo chalza, and she didn't do chalitza either, ein kan beis michush. So there's nothing to talk about, right? If she read the verses, but she didn't spit, she didn't remove the shoe, there's no concern at all. It's as if nothing happened. She can even then do yibum after that. So now, money. So, who is the author of this brayso? Rabbi Eliezer. So it says over here Rabbi Eliezer, but up until now we've been saying Rabbi Elazar, so let's stick to Rabbi Elazar. I think that makes sense, because that's who we were assuming was in the Mishnah. So Rabbi Elazar, if we're saying it's Rabbi Elazar who says that spitting is an integral part of chalitza, chalza v'lo rakika v'lo kara chalitza ksheira, how could the brayso say, if it was Rabbi Elazar, then how could he be saying in the brayso that if she only removed the shoe, but she didn't spit and she didn't read the verses, then it's a kasher dika chalitza v'amar Rabbi Elazar? But I thought Rabbi Elazar said in our Mishnah, kacha ye'aseh, that so shall be done, davar shehu ma'aseh me'akev, that anything that you do must be done, such as spitting is something that you do, right? Reading isn't considered a ma'aseh, right? But spitting, now that's a ma'aseh. So therefore, this brayso that says that if she only removed the shoe, but she did not spit and she did not read, so then it's kosher. So it's clearly not Rabbi Elazar, ela pshita Rabbi Akiva. So rather, it's Rabbi Akiva. V'katani, and what does it say in this brayso? Rakika v'lo chalza, that if she spat but she didn't remove the shoe, v'lo kara, and she didn't read anything, chalitzasa psula, this chalitza makes her apostle. Now, let's go back to for another minute. Liman. To who? Meaning, and there's a distinction here, right? We said that if she only spits, but she doesn't remove the shoe, and she doesn't read the verses, so then we say chalitza is psula, as opposed to if she only reads, I don't know what you said, but if she only, what I said a second ago, or what I meant to say a second ago, is that if she only spits, but doesn't read and doesn't remove the shoe, so then chalitzasa psula, as opposed to if she only reads but doesn't spit, doesn't remove the shoe, So in that case, we said ein kan beis michush. There's nothing even to be concerned about. So there's a difference between pasul and ein kan beis michush. Ein kan beis michush means it's like nothing happened, and she can even do yibum with the brothers. Psula means that she cannot do yibum with the other brothers. Now it's not a chalitza, she didn't remove the shoe, she can't marry other people, but she can't do yibum anymore. She's committed to doing chalitza at this point if she only spits. Now we're saying liman. So psula liman, when we say that if she spits but does not read and does not remove the shoe, so then she's psula to who? If we're saying that she's psula to everybody else in the world, that she's not allowed to marry other people, Pshita, obviously she's not allowed to marry other people. Mihavya chalitza, dishtari la'ama, has she done chalitza? No, she only spat on the floor. She hasn't done chalitza. So she's not permitted to marry other people, obviously. Elalav la'achin. Rather, what we're saying is that by spitting on the floor, so then she is pasul to the brothers. She cannot do yibum with the brothers. Shma mina. So we see that this brisa is Rabbi Akiva, because he's saying that if you only did chalitza but did not spit and did not read, it's kosher. So that must be Rabbi Akiva, because Rabbi Elazar would say that that's pasul, that you have to spit. Rabbi Akiva says that it would be kosher. And we're saying in that same brisa that if she only spat, then chalitza psula, i.e. she's pasul to the brothers. So we see that Rabbi Akiva Taka holds that spitting alone makes her pasul to the brothers. Alright, fine. Sounds very nice. Fine. Well, Rabbi Akiva mashna or kiko mashna kriya. So Rabbi Akiva, we want to know, according to Rabbi Akiva, how come when you spit, so when she spits, it makes her pasul to the brothers, but when she reads, it has absolutely no bearing at all. Kriya de isa bein batchila bein basof lo michal falei, rikika de batchila leisa levasof isa michal falei ve'asu the mishra chalutza la'achin. Friends, did you hear that? Well, you probably heard it. Did you understand it? Maybe not. I'll explain it. So let's back up a few lines. So kriya de isa bein batchila bein basof, that when she reads. So the way that chalitza works is she reads some stuff before she removes the shoe, and then she reads stuff after she removes the shoe. And therefore, if all she did was read, so then ein kan beis michush, there's nothing to be concerned about at all, because an observer who sees her reading can assume, oh, that's the reading from before the chalitza, right? And therefore, if all she did was read, we might say, oh, well, she never actually ended up doing chalitza. And if she then does yibum with one of the other brothers, nobody's going to think that, well, she did chalitza and then she did yibum. That's weird. Maybe you're allowed to do chalitza and then do yibum. No one's going to think that, because if all they saw was that she read, they never saw her do chalitza, they never saw her do spit on the floor, they never saw anything else. All they saw was read, and then they see that she then marries one of the other brothers after having read. People will assume, okay, who's going to assume, friends? Who's going to assume? The yentis. The yentis are going to assume, okay, she did the reading before the chalitza, but she never actually did the chalitza, and that's why she went ahead and married one of her other brother-in-laws, right? So therefore, kriya de'isei ben betchila ben basof, reading which you do before the chalitza as well as after the chalitza, lo michal falei. Nobody's gonna, mix anything up. Nobody's gonna think that, oh, what was the reading? It was the reading that was meant to be after the chalitza, and therefore she actually did do chalitza, and now she's doing yibum even after chalitza. Maybe that's okay. No one's gonna think that. But rikika de batchila leisa levasof isa, but spitting, which you only spit once, you spit after the chalitza. So the yentis who see her spitting are going to say, oh wow, she did chalitza, she spat, and now she's marrying her brother-in-law, she's doing yibum after chalitzing and spitting? I guess you're allowed to do yibum even after chalitza. So Isa Michal falei ve'asu lemishra chalutza la'achin. And the yentis are going to draw a conclusion that that a chalutza is allowed to then proceed to do yibum. So that's why Rabbi Akiva says that once she spits, she's no longer, right, she's pasul to the brothers. She can't be with the brothers. V'ikadam, those who say, this is what they sent to Avur Dishmul, right? We learned Avur Dishmul at the end of the daf yesterday, that they sent to him that right, if she spits, then she's possible to the brothers. To those who say that actually this is what they sent him, Shalchule, they sent to Avud Shmuel, Yevamos Sherakika, a Yevamo who spat. Tachlots, she should do chalitza ve'ena tzricha laru pa'am acheres. Oh, and when she does chalitza nachamol, wait, what? No, when she does chalitza, kilu she already spat, and when she does chalitza, so now she's committed to doing chalitza. She has to do chalitza, and when she does it, she doesn't need to spit nachamol because she already spat beforehand. Ki aida asi lekame dirabami. For example, there was a story where there was a Yevama that came before Rabbi Hava Yosef, Rabbi Bar Mamo Kame, and Rabbi Bar Mamo was there, and Rakika Mikame de Tachlos, and she spat before having done Chalitza. Omele Rabbi and then Rabbi instructed Rabbi Bar Mamo, Chalutzlo Shrila Tigra. No, just have her remove the shoe and send her off on her way. Omele Amarle Rababos. Then Rabbi Bar Mamo says to Rabbi Ami, says, V'aba inon meirak, but she has to spit. Harakikala. So Rabbi Ami says, she already spat. V'seiruk umabachach. So then Rabbi Bar Mamo says, yeah, but it's out of order. Why not just, sure, she has to do chalitza, she'll remove the shoe, and let her spit nachamol. Who cares? Nafik minei churva. So Rabbi Ami says, no, I'm concerned that something bad can happen from that. Because if you're going to say that you have to spit nachamol after the removal of the shoe, Amre, the Yentas are going to say, people are, the Yentas are going to say that what was the deal with that first spit, that with that first spitting, it wasn't significant, i.e., that in general a Yevama who spat can still do Yibum, and then what can end up happening is that Yevamas who spat after having mamish done Chalitza are going to end up doing Yibum, and that's a problem. So therefore we don't want too much spitting. So we say she already spat, that is enough, and let her do Chalitza, and let's all move on with our lives. Okay. Where am I? Okay, fine. Okay, very good. But don't we need things to be in order? Right? The order of events is you remove the shoe and then you spit. You don't spit and then remove the shoe. Yeah, it's true. You're supposed to remove the shoe and then spit. But lemaise, the order is not that important. Well, it's important, but it's not ma'akiv. If you went out of order, such as over here, it's okay. And therefore, in the interest of avoiding a situation where people who did chalitza end up doing yibum, it's okay to just rely upon the initial spitting. Now, Rabbi Bar Mamo thought that Rabbi was just trying to brush him off with this out of order thing. So he went and he did his own research and he found the Tanya, as we learn in the Brisa, Ben she'iktim chalitza l'rikika, Ben she'iktim rikika l'chalitza masha'asa asui. That whether he did chalitza followed by rikika, spitting, or whether spitting came before chalitza, whatever you did, and you go on with your life. Levi nafak l'kiryasa. Levi went to the city. All right, that sounds nice. Okay, very good. Bo'mine, and they asked Levi. They said, Levi's here. Let's ask him epis. Gidem es maushe tachlots. Can a woman who's missing her hands, can she do chalitza? That's what they asked him. Yevama shiraka kodam mau. What if the Yevama spat and it was blood? Does it count? Does blood spitting count? Aval agid l'cha es haroshim b'chsav emes. That the pasuk in Daniel says that the angel says to him that I will tell you from the Eibishter that which is written in truthful prose, in truthful writing. What does the Eibishter have writing that isn't truthful? Now, Levi Lemaisa didn't know the answer to these shilas. Also, so what did he do? Instead of making something up, he went to the Beis HaMedrash and he asked, they said to him, well, miksiv v'cholzo biyad. Well, it doesn't say in the pasuk specifically v'cholzo biyad. She just has to remove the shoe. Right? V'cholzo nailo me'al raglo. She'll remove the shoe from the foot. Doesn't have to, even if she doesn't have hands, as long as she can get the shoe off the foot, that suffices. So miksiv v'yarka rok. Does it say in the pasuk that she needs to spit, which would imply that there can't be any blood? No, it says v'yarka, she spits, blood, spit, whatever, it works. And when the pasuk says that I will tell you what is written in the writing of truth, implying that is it possible that it's implying that there is writing of God that is not truth? Lo kasha, that's also no problem. Kan b'gzaydin she'eshimo shvua, kan b'gzaydin she'enimo shvua. It depends if the Eibishter makes a verdict that he has a swearing, that he swears with the verdict, or if he does not swear with the verdict. The Rav Shmuel Bar Ami, the Shmuel Bar Ami, the Amr Shmuel Bar Ami, Amr B'Yonasin, Minayin the Gzardin Sheishim O Shvua. How do you know that when there's a verdict with a swear, Sheinun Miskareya, that it does not get torn up? Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Lochin Ishbaiti Lebeis Eli, that the Eibishter says that he swore to the house of Eli, Im Yiskaper Avon Beis Eli B'Zevach U'Mincha Ad Olam, that the sin of Eli and his children in the Mishkan Shiloh will never be atoned for with any kinds of offerings forever. Amr Rabba, says Rabba, B'Zevach U'Mincha Inu Miskaper, that nonetheless, sure, there will not be atonement with offerings and menachos, flower offerings, animal offerings, but there can be atonement with studying the words of Torah. Abaye Omar, says Abaye, B'Zevach U'Mincha Inu Miskaper, Aval Miskaper B'Torah V'Gmilos Chasodim, says Abaye, that you can atone for these sins with Torah study and acts of kindness. Rabba and Abaye both came from the household of Eli. Rabba, who studied Torah, lived for 40 years. As we're going to see in a few minutes, that people from the house of Eli died younger, maybe like 18. Rabba lived till 40. Abaye, who studied Torah and also did acts of kindness, so he lived for 60 years, 50% longer than Rabba, who only studied Torah primarily. Okay? Wait, so Rabba and Abaye, were they both Kohanim? I can't remember. I think it was a Tosfos in Rosh Hashanah. Did we say recently that Rabba was a Kohen? Who did we say recently was a Kohen? Who did we say recently was a Kohen? Who did we say recently was a Kohen? Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, I think we said recently was a Kohen. Okay. There was a family in Jerusalem, Shayu Mason. They would die at around the age of 18. So Torah Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was Taka a Kohen, he said to them, well, maybe you come from the house of Eli. The pasuk says that everybody in your house is going to die young. So says Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, what you got to do is you got to study Torah, and then you'll live. So they went, they studied Torah, and they lived. Mishpachas Yochanan al Shmo, and they referred to that family as the family of Yochanan, sort of on account of his name. How do we know that a decree, a verdict against the congregation is not sealed? Nechtam, what do you mean it's not sealed? The pasuk says, that even if you try to launder with neser, with like lime or something. I bought laundry detergent, I think yesterday I bought laundry detergent. V'sar bilach boris, and you use, detergent. Nonetheless, your sin is stained before me. So what do you mean that it's not sealed? That seems pretty sealed to me. That even if it's been sealed, then the verdict of a congregation can nonetheless be torn up. Shenemar, as the Pasuk says, Mikashem Elokeinu b'chokorenu elav, who is like the Eibishter, our God, at any time that we call out to Him. What do you mean by any time we call out to Him? V'oksiv Dirshu Hashem b'yimatzo. The Pasuk says we call out to the Eibishter when He is found. We call out to the Eibishter when He's found, implying that there are only specific times when He's found. Depends. An individual, there are specific times, but a congregation, so b'chol korenu elav. We can call out to the Eibishter whenever we want. Yachad Emas, when is the time to pray for an individual that God is found? Amar Nachman, Amar Barvua, Elo Asar Yom Shebein Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippurim. These are the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. That's Seres Yimei Teshuvah. Shachu le'Avud Shmuel. They sent to Avud Shmuel, Yevamos Shiraki Kodam, a Yevamu who spat blood, Tachlotz, has basically committed to doing Chalitza, because if there's blood, so Memela, there's going to be spit mixed in their Oichet. Meisve, we have a contradiction. Let's say you have a fellow, he's a Zov, or a Mitzorah, and his Ma'ayonos, his pish, his spit, so they're metame like avatuma. So is it possible that if he spits blood or if he pishes blood or something, so tame and avatuma? Tamlom zovo tame vein dama yotz mipiu mipiv mipia ama tame. They say no. The pasuk says zovo tame. Ziva is what's tame, but not blood. So it sounds like blood is not going to be considered like spit, right? El tahor, lo kasha kan b'mutzetzes kan b'shoses. So we say that's not really such a good kasha. It depends. It depends if you're sucking or if you're spitting. I guess if you first suck, so then maybe you can have some saliva mixed into the blood. So it's also going to be like you're spitting. But if you just spit without sucking, so if you just spit without sucking, so then I guess it's just blood. There isn't necessarily any spit. Alright, very interesting sugya. Alright, well, the Mishnah had continued. Right, so we had said a cheresh, a fellow who's deaf. So we said that the chalitza is psula. We also said that a minor chalitza is psula. Amar Vidu Amar Rab. So as we pointed out the distinction earlier, that there's a difference between pasul and nothing at all, right? We said ein kan beis michush earlier. Now we're saying ein chalitza katan klum. That means according to Reb Meir, so if a minor does chalitza, so then it works to make her pasul on the rest of the brothers. That she's committed to chalitza, she can't do yibum anymore. But says the Chacham that the chalitza of a minor is irrelevant. She can even do yibum if she wants. So again, Amar of Yehuda Amarav Zodiv Meir. This is the opinion of Meir. The Chacham say ein chalitza is cut and klum, that the chalitza of a minor is absolutely nothing. My right arm is like hurting a shtickle. What should I do? I'm like moving it around a shtickle. Maybe that's the right thing to do. I think I might not have any muscles in my right arm. I can't remember. Yeah, I haven't really exercised in a long time. Alright, let's go weiter. Ketana shecholza v'chulei. So, a ketana that does chalitza, okay, so we say it like doesn't work. Amar Yehuda Amar Rav Zodiv Reb Meir. Oh, so it says Yehuda in the name of Rav. This is the opinion of Reb Meir. The Amar Ish Kosuv b'Parsha, that it says Ish in the Torah, it has to be an adult male. Umakshinan Isha le'ish, and we compare the men to women, and therefore, just like the male has to be an adult, so also the woman has to be an adult, and therefore a minor does not work. The Chacham say Ish ksiv b'Parsha Isha ben Gedola ben Ketana, but the Chacham say that it says that the man has to be an adult, but the woman can be a Gedola or a Ketana. Man Chacham, who are these Chachamim? Rabbi Yossi. Chachamim is Rabbi Yossi, that it's Rabbi Yossi's opinion that the Yevama could be either a minor or an adult or a minor. Okay. The Reb Chiv Reb Shimon bar Rebbe Haviyazve Pes what? Habu Yasve, period. That the Reb Chia and Reb Shimon bar Rebbe were sitting. All right, that sounds very nice. Now, one of them then proceeded to say, that a fellow who's praying needs to look down. As the Apostle says, that the Eibishter says that his eyes and his heart is in the Beis Hamikdash, on this world, all of the time. And the other one said that no, when you pray you have to look up. As the Apostle says, that we raise our hearts up to the heavens. So Adahachi V'achi also Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, and now comes Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi legabayu to them, to Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Shimon bar Rebbe. Amrlu, and Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi says to them, "V'mayas kisu, nu, what sugi are you learning?" Amrle b'tefillah. They said, we're discussing prayer. Amrlu kachom Abba, and says Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, this is what my father Rabbi Yossi says. Hamispal, a fellow who prays, tzarich ein of lemato. His eyes should look downwards, but his heart should be facing upwards. Wow. So that we can fulfill both of these verses. The one that talks about your eyes being in the Beis Hamikdash and your heart being in the heavens. Adachi also Rebbe the Mesivta. Okay, and then while they were talking in Torah, so Rabbi Yehuda Anasi came to the Beis Hamedrash. Inu davu klile yasivu b'duchtayu. So Reb Chia and Reb Shimon bar Rebbe, who were, well, let's put it this way: Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yossi was very, very big. He was very heavy. Now Reb Chia and Reb Shimon bar Rebbe were not very heavy. So Inu davu klile, they who were light, could move faster. Yasivu b'duchtayu, so they immediately went to their places. Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi agav yukre havim faseh v'azil. Now Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi, because it took him longer to move, so he was still kind of, walking among the students, getting to a place to sit. Amalei Abdon. So Rebbe's assistant Abdon says to Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi, he must not have recognized Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi or whatever it is, but he says, Mi uzeshim faseh al roshi am kadosh. And he says to Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi, who is this person who's stepping over everybody? Amalei ani Shmuel bar Yossi, shabas l'mator min pi Rebbe. And Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi introduces himself. He says, look, I'm Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi. I've come to learn from Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. Amalei Abdan says to Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi, do you even deserve, are you even fit to be able to have the merit of studying Torah from the great Rabbi Yehuda Anasi? To Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi responded, was Moshe Rabbeinu fit to be able to study Torah from the Eibishter? I mean, how could anybody be fit to study Torah from the Eibishter? So Abdon responds to Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi, V'chi Moshe ata, what are you, Moshe? Amalei, and Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi responds, V'chi Rabcha Elokimu, what, is your teacher God? Rav Yosef Shakli Rebbe Limitrafse, Rav Yosef says that Rebbe got a shtickle Musar rebuke over there in Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi's reply to Kamalei Rab Chav lo Rebbe, that he said your teacher, not my teacher. Okay, so great. So they had this sort of dialogue, this interaction. So now came a Yevama. A Yevama then came to the Beis Hamedrash, the Kamei de Rebbe, before Rebbe. Omar le Rebbe la Abdan. So Rebbe said to his assistant Abdan, Poke Bodka, go and check to see if she's an adult or a minor. Levasa Dinofak, after Abdan left, Amar le Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi says to Rebbe, Amar le Rabbi Shmuel, so Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi says to Rebbe, Kach Amar Abba, my father Rabbi Yossi said, Ish Kasuv b'Parsha, it only says an adult male in the Parsha, Aval Isha ben Gedola ben Ketana, but the woman can be either an adult or a minor. Amar le Tat lo tzrichas k'vahor zakin, to which Rebbe responded, and he said, okay, Abdan, come back. There's no need to check this woman to see if she's an adult or a minor, because Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi is I just said that his father, the great Rabbi Yossi, said that the Yevama could be either an adult or a minor. Now this time Abdan was stepping over everybody. Amar Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi. Now Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi says to Abdon, Mi shetzarich lo am kadosh yifaseh al rosh am kadosh. Look, if we look at this equation, one of us sort of was necessary to be here and contributed to the discourse, and one of us didn't. I.e., me, Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi, I actually contributed something here. I gave a halacha. I shared a halacha with Rebbe about chalitza. You didn't really contribute anything. So again, mishet tzarich lo am kadosh, somebody who was needed by the holy nation, i.e., me, who came to actually contribute, yifaseh al am kadosh. So I have the right to be able to step over people to get to a place to sit. Mishein tzarich lo am kadosh. But you, what have you contributed? There's no need for you. Why are you allowed to step over everybody? Rebbe says to Abdon, look, Abdon, just stay where you are. Tana was taught by Osashah at that time. Abdon got covered with saras for speaking disrespectfully to Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi. V'tavu shnei banov, and his two sons drowned and died. Umeanu shtei chalosav, and his two daughter-in-laws who were minors refused his sons, and basically just like that, his whole life kind of fell apart. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Brich Rachmana, Dichaspe, Le'Abdon B'hai Alma, and says Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak that blessed is God for embarrassing Abdon in this world as opposed to the next world. Amar Rabbi Ami says, Rabbi Ami Midivarav Shel Beribi Nomod, we learn out from what the great Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi says, Ketana Choletzes Befutis, that a Ketana could already do Chalitza at the age of 6 or 7, Rashi says. Rava says, she should wait until she's 11. The halacha is that she should wait until she has 2 pubic hairs. Once she has 2 pubic hairs, then she can do chalitza. Okay, says the Gemara, that if she does chalitza with in front of only 2 judges, Amar Rav Yosef bar Manyomi, Amar Rav Nachman, Ein halacha kosu azog, that the halacha is not like that pair. Who's that pair? Who can remind me who the pair was? Reb Shimon and Reb Yochanan Asamda, who say that you're allowed to use that chalitza could be performed in front of 2 judges. But Amar Rav Nachman chad zimna, but didn't Rav Nachman already say that once? Amar Rav Yosef bar Minyomi, Amar Rav Nachman chalitza b'shlosha, that you have to do chalitza with 3. So how come Rav Nachman is saying twice that chalitza has to be done with 3? So, meaning he's saying that the halacha is not like Reb Shimon and Reb Yochanan who say that you could do chalitza with 2, and in another place he says that the halacha is that you have to do it with 3. Tzriche, we need both. The itmar hach kamaisa, because if we would only have that Reb Nachman say that you need 3 judges, I might think that this is lechatchila, you need 3 judges. About the eved afilu trey, but I might think that but the eved you can get away with 2. Kumash malon ein halacha kosu azog. So therefore, Reb Nachman says no, the halacha is not like that pair, and you cannot do chalitza in front of 2 judges. And if we would only know that the halacha is not like that pair, so ela kitanakama, rather it's like the tanakama that you need 3 judges. Havamina di'evid, sure, but di'evid you need 3 judges. But really you should need 5. Therefore we need both statements, that it's not with 2 and it is with 3. So there was a story that they did chalitza in a prison, and then it came before Rabbi Akiva, and he ratified it. Beinu levena miyodaina. One second, how can they just do chalitza between the 2 of them? How does anybody know that it really happened? Amar Yehuda, Amar Shmuel ve'edim ro and osumi b'chutz. Says Yehuda in the name of Shmuel that there were witnesses who were able to witness it from outside of the prison. They want to know ma'aser shechaltzu beinu levena avroi uva ma'aser lefnei Rabbi Akiva b'veis asurin. When it says that the story came before Rabbi Akiva in prison, does that mean that the story happened outside of prison, but they brought it to him in prison? And then the word, you can add the words uva ma'aser lefnei Rabbi Akiva b'veis asurin. Or did the whole thing happen in prison? That the chalitza happened in prison, it was brought before Rabbi Akiva to rule in prison. That the incident happened in prison, and also it was brought to Rabbi Akiva in prison, because as we know, at the end of his life, he was captured by the Romans and put in jail. Friends, that was Daf Kuf Hey of Masechta Yevamos. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.